Namaskar and welcome to StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigaonkar. Let's continue our discussion of NCERT Science series. We were discussing NCERT Science textbook for class 9 and today is the discussion of the last chapter, that is chapter 15. I hope you do remember our previous interaction. In our previous discussion, we spoke about natural resources. We understood the natural resources present in biosphere. We discussed about atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere. Today, we'll continue our interaction and discuss chapter 15, perhaps the most important chapter for UPSC Civil Services preparation. Because in this discussion, you will get a very good idea about agriculture and the concepts connected to it, how we have enhanced our food production. You'll understand through this particular chapter. So without any delay, let us begin our discussion. But before that, there is a small notice for all of you. Anybody who's preparing for UPSC Civil Service examination must subscribe to our program Prelims to Interview Initiative, because this is the most comprehensive program. So spread the word. If you have enrolled, I'll see you in the class. If you have not enrolled, then you would be missing out on the opportunity to join the most comprehensive program for UPSC Civil Services preparation. We will be hand-holding you through all the stages: prelims, interview, prelims, mains, interview, every stage. The entire program has been designed at a very affordable price. And please remember, the classes have begun from 19 June, but you still have the opportunity for say another 24 hours, I say, till 30th June. The admissions are open. After 30th June, you will miss out on this opportunity to join the batch. Do it, because we are offering it in Hindi, English and in the bilingual format as well. Do not forget to use the code Rahul Live. Let's move. As I told you, today's discussion is about understanding the improvement in food resources. Now, till now, through our NCERT interaction, we have discussed that every living organism is made up of different cells. And those cells, they need energy. Those cells undergo metabolism. Cells become tissues, tissues become organs, and organ system is something that our body is composed of. And for our metabolism, we need nutrients, we need food. And we are heterotrophs. We rely on others. We rely on other plants. We rely on other animals for our food, right? So if we talk about food resources, food production, both plants, animals, they need food production. Plants can produce their own food, but animals rely on others. So if we talk about food resources for us, how much food we have to produce? If you look at India from 1947 till today, till 2023, the population has been continuously rising. The absolute numbers are increasing more and more. Maybe the rate is going down in last 2 or 3 decades, but the absolute number is still very high. According to United Nations, we have reached 140 crore. So a huge number. That means we need to produce more and more food. And we have achieved that. If you look at this particular graph, this is from the Ministry of Agriculture and Family Welfare. There was a point in our history after independence, for almost 2 to 3 decades, we were reliant on others for food. That means we used to import food grains from other countries. Right? We remember the PL 480 program of United States of America. Right? The entire food security was threatened in 1971. But after that, if you look at this particular threshold, after 1980s, 1990s, we have seen more food production. From deficit food production, we have moved towards surplus. Today, we do not rely on any other country for our own food security. How have we achieved this? How did we do it? How did we improve our food resources? That is the agenda of today's discussion. And this discussion is divided into 3 different dimensions. 3 different stages. We'll understand improvement in our food resources first through improvement in crop variety. Next, improvement in our crop production system. Crop production means the crop production parameters. We know for photosynthesis, what do we need? We need carbon dioxide, we need water, we need nutrients. So in all these aspects, we improved our production. We improved, or we brought new processes, new structures to improve productivity. And finally, we also improved on the crop protection. So we'll talk about crop protection management. So let's begin this interaction of improvement of food resources first through crop variety improvement. Now we have seen that initially we were reliant on other countries. We used to import food. But slowly and steadily, we invested in our research and development. We came up with different varieties of food crops, different varieties of seeds. We brought high yielding variety seeds. This was one of the pillars of Green Revolution. We brought improvement in the quality of the food grains by bringing different process, by improving productivity, by protecting the crop. We also brought biotic and abiotic resistance in our crops. How? See, we all know that in India, we were more or less, we are more, even today, we are more or less reliant on rain. Today, we are waiting for rain. In fact, in my village, we are waiting for the rains to fall, and then Kharif sowing would take place. But we have reduced these dependence on other things. We have brought more and more resistance, both in terms of biotic and abiotic terms. For instance, we have developed different kind of herbicides, insecticides, pesticides. So biotic resistance has been brought. Diseases have been reduced. Plant diseases have been reduced. Abiotic resistance has been brought. We have brought irrigation facilities. We have brought other facilities so that the crops are more resilient. In fact, we have brought biotic abiotic resistance even through different processes. For instance, through genetic modification. We have also brought changes in the maturity duration. Classic example being the Pusa Arhar, the Pusa Dal or the Pusa Arhar that we have developed. Earlier it used to take 6 months. Now we have reduced the maturity period. So what we can do? We can go for multiple croppings in 1 year itself. Apart from that, we have developed wider adaptability in different food crops. We have also included desirable agronomic characteristics in many of the food crops, or many of the food crops or commercial crops for that matter, right? The classic example being, say, not a food crop per se, but cotton. In cotton, we have brought we have brought some new genes, or we have introduced new genes, Cry1AC gene, so that it becomes resistant to the pink bollworm. Recently, we have brought a GM mustard hybrid, DMH11, giving us more desirable agronomic characteristics. So how have we achieved this? We have used different kind of methodologies. For instance, we know about Green Revolution. Now, during Green Revolution, what we did? We provided the farmers with input for agricultural or credit for agricultural inputs. We also provided them with irrigation facilities, and we provided them high yielding variety seeds. One of the important pillars of Green Revolution was the HYV seeds, the high yielding variety seeds. The high yielding variety seeds were of better quality. That means the germination would take place. The germination rate, the success rate of that particular seed becoming a sapling, then becoming a plant, are higher. The quality of the food that is produced by that particular seed is much better than the seeds that were used before. So we used better option for seeds, and then we turned our food production into surplus, from deficit to surplus. We have also used other methods like hybridization. We have created different hybrids, the DMH11 hybrid. Now, what do we do in hybridization? We select a plant. We emasculate. The flower is emasculated, right? Why? Because I want another pollen to fertilize the core plant or fertilize one plant. So what do? We select a plant, we emasculate it, we bag and tag it, and then we let the pollination happen, and eventually we harvest the seeds, harvest the F1 seeds. Simple. That means we take a parent line A, parent line B. Parent line A is emasculated. That means the pollen grains from this are removed, and we ensure that the pollen grains from another one, they are going to fertilize this, and then we get the F1 hybrid. So we have gone for hybridization. Apart from this, we have also gone for genetically modified crops in recent times. I gave you example of BT cotton. BT cotton is a genetically modified crops which has led to immense cotton production since 2005. In fact, today on millions of hectares of land, we cultivate BT cotton. Recently, the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee has also given approval to DMH11, Indian origin, Indian produced DMH11, Dhara mustard hybrid 11. Very soon, probably in another 3 to 4 years, we might look at more and more commercial cultivation of that mustard as well. So how have we improved our food resources? Through research and development. by developing different variety of seeds. Apart from this, we have also improved the crop production processes. Now, you all know, for photosynthesis, what do we need? For photosynthesis, see, we need light. We cannot do anything with light. Can we do something with light? Because we have to produce for the masses. So we cannot play around with the light. We cannot play around even with the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide. But what we can do is we can ensure that we provide proper irrigation wherever we are cropping. We can ensure that the soil has proper nutrients wherever we are sowing the seeds. So we have done all these things. We have ensured that the plant receives appropriate nutrients, macronutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, micronutrients like boron, copper, iron, chloride, magnesium. How manganese, not magnesium, remember, please remember this particular pointer. Magnesium for plants is a macronutrient because chlorophyll contains magnesium. So magnesium is a macronutrient, manganese is a micronutrient. So we have ensured all these things. What have we done? See, we have applied manures and fertilizers for these crops. Now, manure is something which is created from organic substances. We know that. Manure are organic. Fertilizers are chemical fertilizers which are produced in big chemical factories. There is a Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers itself. So fertilizers are produced at a high rate. In fact, India is the second largest user of fertilizers, right? And we use chemical fertilizers, we use manure, organic fertilizers as well. So when we talk about manure, this is more organic, that is chemical free. So manure can be through compost. We can go for composting. We have discussed about composting before. Composting means you take your organic waste material like your livestock excreta, cow dung, etc., vegetable waste, animal refuse, domestic waste refuse, the extra straw that is left out from the previous cultivation season. What do? We simply create a pit. We put all these waste material in the pit and let it decompose. And once it decomposes, it becomes compost. It would be rich in organic matter and nutrients. I apply this on the soil. I can also go for vermicomposting. Now, when I take this organic waste, I put it in a pit and also add worms, I get vermicompost. Or I can even get green manure. Now, green manure is received mostly from the plants itself. Green manure from plants. These are some of the methods that I have used. Apart from organic manure application, I have also gone for fertilizer application. In fact, we have used fertilizers quite indiscriminately, especially nitrogen based fertilizers, which is one of the problems that we discuss multiple times. Whenever we talk about fertilizers, we say that in India we use a lot of nitrogen based fertilizers, but nonetheless we have used fertilizers in our soils so that soil fertility is maintained and ultimately plant or the crop production enhances. We have used nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, etc. There are different complexes that we have created. For instance, there is a complex of NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, different combinations. We also have diammonium phosphate, DAP, other complexes are also found. But many a times, because of this indiscriminate use of fertilizers, we have seen some problem as well, leading to soil degradation, leading to nitrification of soil. But nonetheless, we can say that fertilizers, if applied in proper dose and proper time, at a proper time, then we do get a lot of benefits of it in terms of improved food productivity, improved production. So what have we done for crop production, crop productivity? We have used manure and nutrients. Apart from that, we have also gone for organic farming. These days, the government is promoting this a lot. Now, organic farming and manure, how are they different? You need to understand, organic farming is a method where you use no or zero chemical fertilizers. You do not use any fertilizers, you do not use any pesticides, any insecticides, any herbicides. It is completely organic, no chemicals used. And these days we are promoting this a lot. It does not mean we do not use insecticides or we do not use any kind of herbicides, etc. We use biopesticide, we use bioherbicide, we use organic manure, we use compost, vermicompost, that becomes part of organic farming. Many a times we also use different crop rotation policies. For example, crops which can fix, or crops which have rhizobium in the roots, we use that, or we directly apply biopesticides or biofertilizers, something like this. We use rhizobium, azotobacter, azospirillum, phosphate solubilizing bacteria. So we basically use bioagents, we use bacteria, fungi, etc., so that we enhance the soil fertility and enhance the productivity. So apart from these nutrients, I have also focused on my irrigation. As I told you, I cannot do anything to light, I cannot do anything to carbon dioxide. But what I can do, I can improve soil fertility. What I can do, I can improve my irrigation facilities. Earlier, we simply used to rely on rain. Majority of agriculture in India was rain-fed agriculture. But these days, we see many irrigation facilities also being developed. Irrigation predominantly through wells, big kind of wells, or even bore wells. Irrigation through river lift systems. Now we have seen irrigation through river lift system predominantly in northern areas where water is lifted from a river, and we have created different canals. Canal flow system can be seen in many northern Indian states. In UP, in Bihar, in Rajasthan, Gujarat, canal systems have been very prevalent. Apart from that, we have also used tanks, different tanks of small size. These days, in many areas, we are also rejuvenating the small ponds, small lakes. Many such schemes are running in different states. So we have provided irrigation facilities. In fact, today we talk about use of science and technology, use of research and development for enhancing water efficiency. We talk about per drop, more crop. And for that, we are using different irrigation techniques as well. Earlier, of course, we used to use surface irrigation techniques, but these days we use drip irrigation techniques where piping systems, something like this, are laid on the ground, and drip by drip, small drop by drop, water is then let onto the ground. It increases the water efficiency of the crop. Apart from that, we have also developed sprinkler system predominantly for vegetables, and some crops which are suited for sprinkler irrigation. So we have provided irrigation facilities as well. Apart from this, we have developed new cropping patterns. We have developed new cropping patterns to enhance productivity from an acre of land. We go for mixed cropping. That means we grow 2 or more crops on a same piece of land, that too simultaneously. For instance, right now it is the Kharif time. Say, imagine in this Kharif time, if I go for mixed cropping, that means on 1 acre of land, I go for multiple crops together. Now, when I use them in a particular method, or when I use them in terms of, say, relays, one row after another row, or one column after another column, I call it intercropping. In fact, this time at my village, we are going for intercropping itself. Intercropping means on a same piece of land, I use 2 different crops. 2 or more different crops can also be used. Now this time it depends on selection. This time we are using soybean and tur dal, arhar dal, basically, right? So we are going for a column or a row of soybean, and then we'll go for a column or a row of tur dal, right? So intercropping. Apart from that, we also go for crop rotation. Now crop rotation is something which is very useful. Now here we do not do it simultaneously. Please remember, it is a system of growing different kind of crops on a piece of land, on a same land, but not simultaneously at different seasons. For example, say right now the Kharif season is going on. Say for this Kharif season, what I do is I go for a short duration crop. For instance, say go for urad dal or moong dal. Urad or moong are short duration crops. For example, tur it goes on for almost 6 months. Soybean, it goes on for 4 to 5 months, 4 months approximately. So short duration crops like urad and moong can be used, and immediately after we harvest that, we go for another crop. Then another short duration crop or some sort of vegetable, etc. Then we start for Rabi. And after Rabi, we go for Zaid cropping as well. The meaning of crop rotation is within a year, I can grow 2 to 3 crops in 1 year itself. Kharif season, Rabi season, and then we grow in Zaid season also. All right. So crop rotation. Now crop rotation in a long term can also be worked out. For example, if I plant sugarcane on one particular land, sugarcane, it is a multi-year crop. Say for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, I'll continuously run sugarcane. After that, I rotate the crop because I want the soil to become fertile again. So I can go for some sort of a leguminous crop, which can help in nitrogen fixation in the soil. So crop rotation is rotating the crop properly so that in a year I can go for 2 or 3 crops, which can give you good harvest. One, and in long term also, there is always benefit in rotating the crop to ensure that soil remains fertile. Apart from this, we have also gone for crop protection. This is the third aspect. First aspect is the crop variety. Second aspect is the crop production techniques, and then crop protection techniques. Now we all know a crop needs protection from weeds. A crop needs protection from the pathogens. Pathogens, say bacteria, fungi, etc. It also needs protection from different insects. So we have to protect them. First thing, for weeds, there are so many weeds. For example, as I told you, we are cropping right now, say soybean. So along with soybean, when I give the fertilizer, when I give the manure, when I apply manure fertilizer, when I apply water, the same fertilizer is also being used by this weeds like xanthium, we call it gokru. Weed like parthenium is, in Hindi we call it gazar grass, or colloquially it's also known as the Congress grass, right? So there are many weeds that grow in the field. And what do these weeds do? These weeds compete with my crop. I want my crop so that I produce food grains, because I am talking about food resources. But these weeds, they compete with my crop for water, compete with my crop for sunlight, compete with my crop for the nutrients. I apply the fertilizers for my crops, but these weeds, they take up those nutrients as well. So what do I have to do? I have to remove them. So what do I do? The best method for weed control that we use is the mechanical removal. Mechanical removal means manually you go and remove the weeds. Apart from that, some preventive methods can also be used by using proper seed bed preparation, or we can also go for intercropping and crop rotation. But these days we have also developed specific kind of weedicide and herbicides as well. So these days we have specific herbicides and weedicides which do not act on the crop, but they are harmful for the weeds for sure. All right, so we have developed these things also. But again, there is a flip side for using weedicide and herbicide, because they contain a lot of chemicals which ultimately enter the food chain. That's why we are promoting more and more of organic farming. But nonetheless, we protect our crop from the weeds. Apart from that, insect and pests. We need to protect the crop from insect and pest attack. These insects and pests, what do? They finish off the leaves, they cut the stem, they attack the roots, they suck the cell sap from various parts of the plant, they bore into the stem and the fruits. And that is what we need. We need ultimately the fruits itself. So they bore into the stem and fruit. So what do? We use specific methods. We use disease resistant varieties. For example, the genetically modified crops. We go for growing 2 or more crops simultaneously, where one crop can act as some sort of a biocontrol agent for another crop, and vice versa. Or we can use pesticides and insecticides directly. Apart from that, there is another simple technique of summer plowing also. Summer plowing, that means in summer season, what do? I deep plow the land, I simply leave it. And because of intense sunlight, because of intense heat, the insects, the pests, the microorganisms, they die off. And then I would see less of diseases for the crops. So I have to protect them from the weeds, from insects and pests. For weeds, manual methods, weedicide, herbicides are used. For insect pests, we use different kinds of methods. Along with it, pesticides, insecticides can also be used these days, right? So using these methods, I improve my food resources. Apart from that, I go for something called as mixed farming. Now we need to understand, we want the income of the farmers to improve. By 2022, the government had said that the farmers' income would be doubled, right? That has not happened, but nonetheless, Farmers, to increase the farmers' income and to increase the food productivity, food resources, we promote mixed farming. Now, mixed farming means farmer will grow crops, yes. Along with it, farmers will also use some sort of another method where animals are integrated on the crop. It can be milch animals, it can be draught animals, it can be poultry, it can be anything. So mixed farming basically means crops and animals are both grown, both cultivated on the same farm, and they interact with each other. For example, now this particular animal, it is going to provide me milk, it is going to provide me draught power, it is going to provide me the organic material for creating the compost. All right, so all these things will be done. So what are the examples of mixed farming? Now, I grow a crop and I go for cattle farming. I grow a crop and I also go for poultry farming. I grow a crop and I also go for some sort of fish production. Right? Farmers who crop, and they can go for marine fish catching or marine fish production or inland fish production as well. Or on my farmland, I can go for apiculture. Apiculture is cultivation of bees. And why are bees useful? Bees are useful for honey. So what do I do? Say for example, if I am the farmer, I have 2 acres of land. So what do? On my land piece, on my land, I cultivate. In the Kharif season, I cultivate crop X, and on the Rabi season, I cultivate crop Y. Along with it, I also have a shed in which I do cattle farming. Now, why do I do cattle farming? Cattle farming is done for 2 reasons. First reason is I need milk. Means I have milch cattle. I have different cows, buffaloes, which can give me milk. I can also use them for draught power as well. So what do? On my piece of land, crop is already there. I simply create a shed. I need a shed for cattle farming, and that shed must have land which is sloping. I create some sort of slope towards one side, and on the side of the slope, I provide a pit or a place for creating compost. Why? You already know that the cattle, that means the cows and buffaloes, they are going to excrete, right? They are going to excrete, they are going to urinate. So the excreted material in the urination or the urinated material, it has to pass through the slope, enter the area of the compost, and I need the area where the cattle is there, which should be dry and which should be clean. Because if it is not dry and clean, if I do not clean the waste material and the urine from there, then the cattle would get different diseases. But I want that cattle to be healthy. So I create a shed with these parameters. Apart from that, I have to provide proper nutritious food to these cattle. Nutrition for daily needs, right? Green leafy grass for daily needs. And whenever they are lactating and whenever they are producing milk, I need to provide them with specific nutrients so that milk production is more and more, because it is going to improve my income. And finally, I need to ensure that there is disease control in my cattle farm. These days, we are looking at many sort of cattle outbreaks, right? Cattle disease outbreaks. We discussed about the lumpy skin disease. I want to protect my cattle from such diseases. So I want to maintain a clean shed. I want to maintain a disease-free shed. So these are some of the things that I proceed with. Apart from that, if I have a piece of land, I can also go for poultry. Now, when I create a poultry farm, what do I get? What are the products that I get out of poultry? I get chicken. That means I get meat. I also get eggs. And what do I need? I simply need a poultry farm, a poultry shed. And in this poultry shed, I need continuous cleaning, I need continuous sanitation and disinfectant facilities. Because we know about the avian diseases. You can talk about H1N1, H3N5, different kind of variants have been developing. So I want my poultry farm where cleaning, sanitation and disinfection facilities are available, because without these, if one chicken gets a disease, it can spread very, very quickly, because within a small area, I'll be having thousands of these chicken for meat and egg laying. Apart from that, I need proper food, because I need vitamin rich, protein rich food for these chicken. Vitamin rich supplementary feed is needed because I need them to grow. I need them to have food so that they efficiently produce proteins, they efficiently produce meat, and they lay proper eggs. Again, the food specifically for meat poultry and egg poultry are a little different, but nonetheless, they are mostly vitamin-rich supplementary foods. Apart from that, I also need to control diseases here. If disease outbreak is seen in a poultry farm, it is going to be catastrophic. Not just for the poultry farm, for the farmer, but in general, that disease may spread to other avian species as well. Apart from cattle farming and poultry, I can go for fishing. Now, fish is a very cheap source of animal protein. So if I'm a farmer, what I can do, I can go for marine fishing. That means I can bring marine fish species here, or I can directly go and fish if I am especially in the coastal region. If not, then I can create a small inland pond or a small pond where I can go for inland fishing, freshwater fishing. So a farmer can go for both marine fishing or the inland fishing, freshwater fishing. And a lot of subsidies also given from the government side, right? What do I need? I need a water source for the fish. The water can be seawater also or fresh water. Generally, in our side, in our village, etc., many people have gone for freshwater fishing. Freshwater fishing. That means in my piece of land, in a small area, I create a pond, and that pond is used to create an ecosystem for the fishes. And the government's different departments, the fishing departments, they are going to provide you with the fish eggs, right? You take the fish egg and you cultivate the fishes in your pond. Apart from that, farmers can also go for honey production. Now, honey production is called apiculture. Now, you get two products from this. One, if you go for apiculture, that means culturing the bees, it needs very small area. Along with my crop, I can go for apiculture, which needs basically a very small area, bee cultivation, and then I can get two products. One, I can get honey. It's very, very important, right? And I can get wax. Two products can be developed, and from these two products, I can enhance my income. I can improve the food productivity, food resources. You can see here, I increase the production of honey. In the fishing, I increase the production of animal rich protein source. In the poultry, again, chicken and egg, and with the cattle, I increase again food resources, that means milk and other food resources. All right. So I hope you've gotten a good idea about how far we have reached from 1947. We became independent in 1947, and at one point of time, we were relying on others for our food security. We were importing food grains, we were importing food stuff. We do it today also. It's not like we don't import food grains today. We do it today also. But in India, the food production, that means the demand for food and the production of food, we have gone into the surplus region. How? By improving the food services, by improving the crop variety, by improving the crop production styles, and by protecting our crops. Along with it, by going for mixed farming, where I have supplemented the farmers with the other measures that we discussed. All right. So that's the completion of this chapter, and that's the completion of 9th standard discussion as well. In our next interaction, we will discuss the NCERT class 10 science. All right. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you have liked this video, if you have any doubts, any queries, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on the ID @RahulSai222. If you have any queries, etc., do reach out to me on IG. I do respond on Saturdays and Sundays. Thank you again. Jai Hind.